If you've been following the channel, you know I am a big advocate for low-powered mining, especially using phones, Raspberry Pis, SBCs, and I'm also a big proponent of RainbowMiner. Well, the RainbowMiner dev has been working on some ARM compatibility, and I recently helped him with some Varus implementation for ARM devices, and so we're pretty much happy to announce that the RainbowMiner is running on ARM devices. I've gone through and I've tested it on various devices. And today I'm going to walk you through how you can get RainbowMiner running on your cell phone that you may be mining Varus on. So for me, my whole phone farm is all Samsung Galaxy A03s. And I've been slowly moving them all over to RainbowMiner. And the big advantage with this is you get a couple things. One is you get profit switching. And so if any of the other algos surge in profitability, you have the ability to auto switch to those if you want. It also gives you a lot of what I will call remote management. Now, a lot of this management you still need to be on the local network to do, but you can do it all through a web dashboard. And what you're looking at right now is me actually connected to one of the phones over the network. And so this is A03S1. And you can see I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 all running. And if we take a look, we can see it is hashing on Varus at 4.1 megahash. The really nice thing about this dashboard is real quick, over the network, I'm able to change pool information, wallet address. I can change auto swapping to other coins. I can do all of that from within this dashboard. So if we hop on over to the setup section for the phone, and you can also do a client server model if you want. So if you want to manage all the configs in one spot, you can do that. And then you can have each of the phones pull down that config. So you don't have to manage them independently. I choose to manage them independently just because I may at a given point say I want to move 6 of my phones to auto swap to Litecoin as an example versus direct mining Varus. It gives me that flexibility. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the pool section. You can see these are all the pools that are supported. So right now I have Luckpool on, I've got Zpool and Zergpool. So Zpool and Zergpool are kind of those auto exchanging platforms. If we wanted to enable unminable, we could also do that here. If we wanted to do nice hash, we could also do that. And we can even do mining rig rentals if we wanted to. So if we wanted to actually rent out our phone's CPU hashing power on mining rig rentals, we could do that from here as well. I'm going to leave that one turned off. But really all you have to do is hit save. And what that'll do is that will actually use these pools. In addition to these, you can define your own pools. So if you want to run your own nodes on, let's say, your local network, or if you have a different mining pool that isn't in the list, you can configure that as well. And then if we hop on over to the coin section, this is where you can configure all of the coins. So if we pull up like Varus, this is where you would configure your wallet address. And then under the pool section, if we go to setup pools, we can pull up Luckpool. We're telling it to use that Varus wallet address. You can also come in here and you can switch the mining mode to hybrid solo, which is specific to Luckpool, where that gives you that more of that solo mining mode where you get like that 75-25 split instead of the other way around. So similar thing with Zergpool. If you want to, now by default, it's going to auto swap to Bitcoin, but if you wanted to auto swap to another coin, all you would have to do is come in here and put, let's say, LTC as an example, and we'll just put in a fake wallet address. You come down to specific for your auto exchange currency, you'd put LTC here. What this would do is this will mine the most profitable coin to Zergpool, and it will pay you out in Litecoin. Anytime you can come in, change these settings, and pretty much reflects within like 60 seconds or so poolside. So some really nice options there, especially for phones where, you know, it becomes really difficult to kind of manage them if you wanted to change, even if you just wanted to change a wallet address. This allows you to do all that remotely, or even if it's just a pool address. Even if you don't use the the profit switching features. However, the profit switching features are nice, and at a glance, if we head on over to the miner section, we're already sorted profit high to low. And what you're going to see is you're going to see Varus as number 1, and it's number 1 by a lot. So these are in MBTC. So you can see 72 compared to 17 sats. It's a big difference. It is a massive difference right now on the phone mining landscape with these specific chips that's in the A03Ss. And so obviously with this, it's going to pretty much always be mining Varus. Now, something like NiceHash, where if there's a massive spike in like Zeph with RainbowMiner, things like that, you might get that massive jump in short-term profitability. If you enable NiceHash, it can leverage those marketplace buys and basically swap your phone over to RainbowMiner in those times of increased hash rates. Now, one caveat I do want to put on this is that not all mining algorithms are supported, and not all CPU algorithms are supported. So if we hop on over to benchmarks, I'm going to sort by algorithm. These are the algorithms that are supported. Now, there are a few that I have excluded, and the reason I've excluded those is they actually crash on the A03S using the miner when running in userland. And so we have, if we hop on over to setup, and I saw this same thing with I tested this on a Fire tablet, an Amazon Fire tablet. The 10-inch tablet, everything ran fine. The 8-inch tablet, it crashed. So I don't know if it's a memory dependency or what it is, but the 3 algorithms that crash are script-n2, randomarc, and randomx. So on the A03Ss, at least, by default, I am disabling these 3 algos. As I mentioned, on the 10-inch tablet, it worked fine, so I have randomx enabled on that. So this may really vary by your device, so just keep that in mind. So if we hop back on over to benchmarks, so just real quick, take a look at those algos that are supported. And we've got Kryptonite Lite UPX2, Minotaur X, and then we've got a couple that are more of GPU algos, but they are supported with CPU. So we've got SHA-256DT, SHA-3D, SHA-512-256D, Take-Two, which is Ghost Rider. So this is going to be Raptorium and all of those Ghost Rider forks. Varus Hash, obviously. Then we've got X16R, YesScript, which tends to be the second most profitable behind Varus Hash. Then we've got YesScript R16, YesPower. We've got the LTN variant of YesPower, the MGBC variant, the Sugar variant, and the URX variant. And there you can see the benchmarks for all of those. And at any time, if there's a minor update, the system is set up to automatically re-benchmark those algos. So at a quick snapshot, this kind of gives you an idea of, what algos are supported, and more importantly also what the hashing speeds are. So anytime you could take these, you could plug these into a profitability calculator if you want, or you can just let RainbowMiner do that for you. In addition to these settings, if we hop on over to the pool settings, and I don't want to dive into this too deep, but if we take a look at something like Zergpool, there is actually Zergpool, and there's also Zergpool Solo. If we get to the Solo one, there is also a max time to find. You can use this with the Solo option to basically say, I only want to solo mine coins that would find the block within, let's say, 10 minutes or an hour. And then any of the complicated chains that your phone, just really can't handle because of the hash power, it won't even attempt to solo mine those, but it will attempt to solo mine the easier to find coins based on profitability. So that is another option you have as well. So that's pretty much it for the dashboard. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to hop on over to a phone and actually run through the steps to install it. And the way we're going to be doing this today So there's a couple ways. One is, at least on the AO3S side, I have created a kind of a one-click deploy that will work on a fresh phone. And that's what I'm going to show you today, is the fresh phone setup. If you're already running userland, I will include a list of commands that you can run to get your phone set up. However, keep in mind that you may need to go in and disable random arc and script n2 in the settings. To do that, once RainbowMiner is installed and is up and running, you'll come into the dashboard using the IP address of the phone, which we'll show you after the phone is all set up. And then you will just go to Setup, and then under Pools, Miners, and Algorithms, you are going to use this exclude algorithm, put in the algorithms here that are crashing, and go from there. Now, the one-click setup that I have provided auto excludes those up front, so you don't have to worry about that. But let's go ahead and hop on over to the phone. We're going to do a couple quick config settings, and then the way this batch script works is it's using ADB. If you're not familiar with ADB, it is basically an Android debugging program that you can use on your computer to remotely execute commands on your device. I'm not going to go over how to acquire ADB. It's pretty much part of the Android development package. You can just Google it. You're going to need that. It's also part of the Fire Toolbox, which is the Amazon tablet Fire Toolbox used to sideload apps to Amazon devices. So I already have it in that folder as part of the toolbox. That's what we're going to be using today. But without further ado, we're going to jump over the phone and get started. All right, we're at the table. We do have a line of AO3Ss here, so we're just going to move some of these to the side, and we're going to start with this device. We're actually just going to use one today, and this is freshly formatted. So I did a factory reset on the phone and connected it to Wi-Fi. Haven't done anything else yet. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to swipe up, go to settings, and I'm just going to verify that we're running the latest version. There should not be an update available. Okay, we're all up to date already. So next thing I'm going to do is software information. And then we're going to go to build number. And we're going to keep tapping this. Now this might be specific to the AO3S, but essentially we want to enable developer mode. If you have a different phone, you can just Google how to enable developer mode. So we've got developer options. We're going to tap this. We're going to scroll down. We're going to enable USB debugging. We're going to say OK. This is needed in order to run the ADB tool to actually issue commands to the phone over USB. Then we're going to go back to settings. We're going to go to battery and device care. We're going to tap on battery. We're going to scroll down. We're going to go to more battery settings. And then we're going to check protect battery. This is going to prevent the phone from overcharging and keeping the battery around 85% charged. We're going to go back to menus, and then we're going to click on memory. It's going to do a memory check. And then we're going to click RAM plus, and then we're going to switch this to 4 gigabytes. This is basically like a swap file for Android. So once we set that up, we wait for the phone to reboot. Once it boots back up, we want to plug the phone into the computer through the USB cable. And then we're going to get a little pop-up on the phone asking us if we want to authorize the connection to a specific GUID ID. We're going to say allow on that. And that is basically allowing that specific computer to send ADB commands to the phone. And then once that's done, we're going to just hit the lock button on the side so that the screen is off. The phone will still be on, but we want the screen to be black. This is needed to run my one-click installer because it's actually going to unlock the phone and start running all the commands for you, installing userland, and we'll walk through all of what it's doing when we're back over at the computer. All right, we're back over at the computer, and I just plugged in the phone, and I got the prompt to allow USB debugging, so I'm going to go ahead and say allow on the phone. I'm going to lock the phone, and now we need to run the batch file, and you can find this in the description below. But essentially, it is this phone setup batch file. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this up in Notepad real quick so that we can kind of walk through what it's doing. And you may need to make changes to this. Most importantly, you need to change the ADB path that you see at the top here. This needs to point to the ADB exe. As you can see, I'm using the Fire toolbox. And so I have that in my downloads folder. I'm just referencing it there. And then BTC, this should be your BTC wallet address that RainbowMiner is going to kind of auto switch to by default. And then this RainbowMiner key, if you already have RainbowMiner running on your network, you can grab your RainbowMiner monitoring key, and this you can plug it in here, and it will automatically load all of your devices into your existing dashboard. Now, if you don't already have RainbowMiner, you can, you've got a couple options. The simplest option is probably just to leave this blank, let it generate with the first device, and then after that, you can plug it in for your subsequent devices. This will, basically, this is going to unlock the phone. It's going to run the command to keep the phone always on when it's plugged in. And it's going to set the screen timeout to a substantial amount, like an hour and a half or so. And then that way, if you are using like a smart plug to turn the phone or turn the power off for an hour and then on an hour, the screen doesn't just turn off on you. And then what's going to happen is it's going to install userland. It's going to launch userland. And then it's going to run through all the steps to install Ubuntu on userland. It's going to set a default username of just user, default password of 1. So if you're used to HiveOS, that's going to be kind of the credentials. And then the password's just going to be the word password, all lowercase. And then it's going to run, kind of at this point, if you're already running userland, these are the commands that you can run to get it up and running. At this point, it's basically in userland, and it's going to run an apt update. Then it's going to run an apt install on git and JQ, and then it's going to do a git clone of the repository. Here you can see it's using my repository, but what's going to be in the description is going to be the actual RainbowMiner repository, because they have fully merged my changes in now. You can use either one. And then we're going to move into the RainbowMiner folder. We're going to do a chmod +x on all of the shell scripts. And then we're going to run /install.sh. This is going to install PowerShell into userland. And then we're going to run sudo PowerShell /script/install.ps1. This is something that you have to do on actually more importantly, on userland devices. So any device that you're running userland, the interpreters in userland don't work right with basically the base RainbowMiner install file, this one. So this will install everything that got missed in this one just because of the userland interpreters. And then you're going to run a /start.sh. And then it's going to prompt you for tons of things. However, the one-time script will run through all of those options for you and pre-populate everything. And things like the BTC address, the RainbowMiner key. If you're doing this manually, you'll need to populate those yourself. And then it's actually also going to add the exclusions for you into the config file for the AO3S. And again, you might need to do these exclusions for other devices as well. I'm not 100% sure in that since I'm only running AO3Ss. So now it's actually super simple. If you do have AO3Ss, all you need to do would just run the batch file. This is actually going to unlock the phone. And you're not going to be able to see the phone when this is going on because I do have it plugged into the computer. but you will get a little bit of an output here. And what's happening right now is it's running through and it's installing, it is installing userland, it's launching userland, and then it's gonna do all the screen taps. And all these waitings that you're seeing in between, it's kind of a little bit of a delay for the screen to respond to all of the taps. And then it's just going to go through and it's going to kind of automate itself as far as all of the options. And this is going to take probably about 15 minutes or so to run through the full setup. So once it's done, I'm going to see you guys back and we're going to take a look at the actual phone and then hop back on over to the dashboard. The batch file is done, running all the commands. Everything is fully deployed to the phone now. And so all I did was unplug the USB cable and we are back over at the phone now. And if we collapse the keyboard, what you're going to see is that after it ran through all the setup, it's now downloading 3 miners. And so what's going to happen is, based on the configure algorithms, it's going to start benchmarking after it downloads the miners. So at this point, it's downloading miners, and in a minute or two, it's going to start benchmarking. So we're just going to let this sit for a minute. And what I like to do is I like to let it download the miners. And if you haven't already set a static IP to your phone, you're probably going to want to do that. So once the miners are downloaded, usually I will go in, set a static IP, and then we will be able to remotely manage it from the computer. So to set a static IP, we're just going to swipe down from the top, hold down on the Wi-Fi, and then we're going to hit settings next to the Wi-Fi that we're connected to. We're going to hit view more. And then under IP settings, we're going to switch to static. And for me, I want this to have a static IP of .211. And so we're just going to do that. All the other settings we're going to leave as is. We're going to hit save. And now the phone has a static IP of 192.168.1.211. We're going to hop back on over here. And we can see benchmarking has started. It is currently benchmarking take 2, which is Ghost Rider. So now we're just going to basically put the phone on its stand with the charging cable on, and then we're going to hop back on over to the computer and do some configuration remotely. Back over at the computer, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to the IP address, port 4000. And you're going to be presented with the dashboard. It's going to be a white screen. If you want the dark theme, you just scroll to the bottom on the left, switch your theme from daytime to night view, and we can see it is currently benchmarking. If we hop on over to the benchmark section, here we can see everything is currently benchmarking, and it will do these sequentially, one at a time. And so, but what we want to do is we want to, for me, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to enable like luck pull. So to set up our Verus wallet, which we want to do first, come over here, do enter new coin, VRSC. We're going to put in our Verus wallet address. And then if you want to remove these other coins, you can do that. These are sample coins that are in there by default. I'm going to go ahead and remove all these. Hit submit. And now we've got our Verus wallet in here. And now we can go to setup, go to pools, and we can check luck pull. This will turn on luck pull. Submit. And then we can do set up pools. And then we're going to select luck pool from the dropdown. And under VRSC wallet address, we're going to put VRSC. And what this is this is kind of a macro pointer that points to the coins page. So you'll be able to just do dollar and your ticker number, and then you'll be able to manage your wallet address on the setup coins page. Right there. And then the other thing I like to do for, especially for phones, is if we hop back on over to setup, go down to the technical section. Right here, this benchmark interval, I like to set this to 180, which is going to be 3 minutes. And the reason I do this is because the phones have lower powered hardware, and sometimes it takes a while for that hash rate to ramp up. By default, the benchmark will only last 60 seconds, and sometimes we won't get the hash rate reporting, the accurate hash rate reporting within that time, especially with like Varus, where CC miner, it takes a while to build up that hash rate. That is the actual hash rate that we're getting. So I set this to 180, and that it'll take longer to benchmark, because we're basically telling it to, each algo is going to take 3 times as long to benchmark. However, that benchmark is really a one-time process for the most part on just getting the hash rate captured, the hash rate and power consumption captured, and then it will use that moving forward. And then what should happen is if you head on over to miners, right now you can see our profit is blank for everything. It's because it hasn't benchmarked yet. Once it benchmarks, that'll pop up in here. And then if you go to all pools, this will also have every pool. So if we went, as an example, if we looked at Varus, it hasn't pulled in luck pool yet. There's I think it's either a 15 or 30-minute interval for refreshing information from the pools on like profitability, things like that. Once it runs that refresh job, then luck pool will pull in here. But you can see Zerg pool also supports Varus hash, and you can see that there are 2 in here. And then if you hop on over to the best pools option, this is where normally you would see the top pool based on profitability for a specific coin. So essentially, if it determines that it should switch to that coin, this will generally be the pool that it will choose. And so if we took as an example, let's say we were looking at Take 2. We can see it's going to use Zerg pool over Z pool for Take 2. But if we go to all pools and we switch Take 2 on the algorithm side, here you can see we've got Zerg pool and Z pool. But right now, if you take a look at the profitability at a gigahash per day, Zerg pool's got 2.35, where Z pool's only 2.009. So Zerg pool is edging it out in profitability, which is why it will switch to that. And then if you're wondering why there were multiple pools in the list, like we looked at the Varus one, here you can see for Z pool, you've got each of the regions. And so they're all going to have the profitability check. And the RainbowMiner does do kind of a behind-the-scenes ping to the region to determine optimal ping, so that it does put you on the best region. And that's really it. If you didn't want to do auto exchanging for any reason and you only wanted to do direct mining, all you need to do is come in here and just turn off Zerg pool, Z pool. In fact, you can switch those to the specific coins ones if you want. You could do party mining, you can do anything like that you want. Or if you wanted to use a service like C3 pool or Monero Ocean, where that'll mine the most profitable and auto swap to Monero, you can do that as well. You also have some other services in here that are similar to those. And again, if you wanted to use unmineable, you could use unmineable. If you wanted to use NiceHash, you could use NiceHash. Mining Dutch is on here as well. You can do any combination of these that you want. It'll always kind of pick the most profitable one. And generally speaking, let's go ahead and hop on over to one of my existing AO3Ss and take a look at all pools. And if we take a look at Varus, which is probably already going to be at the top, but let's just go ahead and filter on it to be safe. What you're going to see is that we have, so we've got luck pool and Zerg pool, right? And you can see that luck pool is substantially more profitable per gigahash from Zerg pool. And this is because this is direct mining it. And Zergpool is doing, more of a auto exchange feature. They've got some additional fees in there, things like that. And you will see this little check mark for what to mine if it's pulling that calculation from what to mine. Varus is on what to mine, so that's where we're getting the calculation from. Zergpool provides their own calculation based on that gigahash mark. I think they actually base it on like megahash, but RainbowMiner translates that over to gigahash. And so because of those additional fees, things like that, that is where you're seeing that shift. And here you can see the last time it updated it actually just updated Luckpool 22 seconds ago, 50 seconds ago. So you can see it is getting those profitability numbers, up to date there. And if we hop on over to best pools, and if we select Varus, what you should see is Luckpool here. Switch to Varus, and there you can see it's North America Stratum for Luckpool, because that is the one that has the best ping for me. And so there you have it. That is pretty much it for setting up a RainbowMiner on the phones. Pretty self-explanatory at this point. They are hashing away, and if we take a look at the benchmarks on, whoops, I'm on the wrong phone. Let me switch back over to 211. And we should have, it might still be running a take two benchmark. Let's see. Yeah, what you might see in the middle of benchmarking, you might see this failed benchmark. This is okay. It can crash through the benchmark. It'll pick itself back up until if you see a little search icon here to show the log, that means it has truly failed. Typically, none of these algos should fail on the phones. These are all pretty much set in stone algos. So if we hop on over to one of my other phones, you can see every algo says okay on the benchmark. And if we look at like take two, hit search, you can view the log from the benchmarking routine. Same thing with if we pull up like Varus, you can see it benchmarked at 4.04. If we pull this up, you can see, and again, this is, this was for a pretty lengthy duration, but this is the whole log for Varus. And because it's been on Varus for a while, you can kind of see that fluctuation, but right around 4 megahash is what we're getting. And it looks like it may have just finished benchmarking. Let's go ahead and take a look here. And there you can see take two. So I'm on the phone that we're setting up as part of this video. And take two did successfully benchmark at 30 hashes per second. If we hit the little view log icon, let's see if it shows up. There you can see the log from the benchmarking routine. So there you have it. Super easy to set up, especially with the one-click miner. Again, if you're already running userland, you can run through the steps. This will also turn on auto updates. One thing that I did not mention is there is also a central monitoring dashboard that is available over the internet that you can use to view all of your workers. So it will show you profitability. So as you can see, each phone right now is making around 4 cents a day. And it'll give you your total profit, your total power consumption. Ignore this, I do have some CPU rigs mixed in here. So that is why you're seeing a little bit higher power consumption. And then the other cool thing about this dashboard is you can actually see everything running on RainbowMiner. So there are currently 787,000 devices, or really benchmarks, if you will, that are on RainbowMiner. So if we wanted to take a look at like a 4090, there are actually no 4090s right now. There are 3090s though, I believe. Yeah. Oh, sorry. This is, I believe this is, yeah. Let me see. think you have to do, let's see here. So we do see some A6000s in here. I don't think you can wildcard this. No, you cannot wildcard it. So I think what you need to do is RTX 4090. There we go. So these are basically the benchmarks for the 4090s. And you're going to see, you might see some duplicates in here. But as an example, if we wanted to see like kapow hash rate for 4090s, there you go. So these are all various ones that are in here. And if we take a look, there's 191 total benchmarks for the 4090. And here you can see the hash rate and the power consumption. Keep in mind this power consumption is software reported power consumption. So it shouldn't be an end all be all, but it should give you a general idea of kind of the software level efficiency that people are getting with like-minded cards. And so this will show you. The other thing I didn't mention, because it's really not relevant to phones, but RainbowMiner does keep track of the DAG size. So if you're running a 2 GB card and you're mining kapow, it's smart enough to only attempt to mine coins that are on kapow with 2 gigs or less of that DAG file. So it is smart enough to do that, which is really nice because if you've got 4 gig cards, it won't try to mine Ravencoin, but it'll try to mine Chlor, Nor AI, all those other coins that it can mine that you normally wouldn't be able to on a auto switching pool, because you never really know what it's going to switch to. But it's smart enough to be able to do that through the coins option of those auto swapping pools.